Welcome to another episode of the Black Pantheon. And this week I'm talking to Gabe Kunda. Gabe is an successful voiceover actor as well as musician and content creator. In this conversation, we're hitting on his journey to voiceover through college and his childhood. Secondly, we're talking about what it actually takes to work with the likes of Marvel, Disney, and Funimation. Lastly, we hit on how pivoting his content actually worked in his favor. This interview is with someone I look up to a lot, and I feel like this is one of my best interviews that I've done. So I hope you gain a lot from this conversation, like I have. Welcome to the Black Pantheon, where I sit down with creators, innovators, and entrepreneurs and listen to their stories through a cultural lens. I'm Abram Schaefer, a content creator and musician, creating captivating pieces of content that push intentionality and going beyond the norm. This video series is meant to inspire, push new ideas, and dive into the minds of great people. I'm with Gabe Kunda. Gabe is someone I've came across his content like 2017, and your stuff just, I don't know, blew my mind at the time. Still continues to blow my mind. But yeah, for people who don't know who you are, just give us a small little intro who you are. We can dive into the conversation.
Sure. Well, it's first of all, it's an honor because I'm also a fan of your work, and I won't go too much into the pleasantries, but like I have to say, like you are incredible at what you do on all facets. You're crazy talented, and it's an honor to be on your show here. So thank you. In terms of who I am, I'm Gabe Kunda. I'm a voice actor and vocalist. Been doing voiceover full time for close to 5 years now. And it's been amazing since 2017 when you saw me or when you discovered me is when I started it full time. And yeah, I do everything from TV commercials, voicing TV commercials, movie trailers. I'm the guy you hear at the end saying rated PG-13 out now. You know that stuff. I'm also voice act. I voice act for video games, TV animation, anime, all types of stuff. Any place where they can, use my voice. I try to get into that. So, and I'm also, like I said, a vocalist. So I have a acapella group called King's Return that I'm a part of, and I do some arranging for. And so that's kind of what I do on the day to day. And I'm also a husband to my wife Karina, and I got a dog named Charlie, based out of Dallas, Texas. So that's where I'm at.
That's amazing, man. That's dope. I think I want to start at the kind of the beginning of this whole journey started. Now I've listened to a couple interviews that you've had. I read a couple things of the other interviews you've had. It's like going back to like college. You went to school for music education and things of that nature. But was voiceover was that where you wanted to do? Is that what you wanted to do this entire time, or was it like something you gradually stepped into?
Yes and no. I think it's I was interested in voiceover since I was a sophomore in high school. And but before that it was all music. I wanted to do choir and sing, 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 sing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, when I got to my sophomore years when I discovered voiceover, I watched a video called $1 Million Voices, and it basically changed my life and the trajectory of my life. In the sense of like I knew that I that was kind of the Hollywood, that was kind of the pie in the sky for me.
Yeah.
And I went after that while also pursuing music because I had learned so much music and as a vocalist and in all these choirs and stuff. I just wanted to continue singing. And so I finished high school and got a scholarship to study music education, like you said,
Yeah.
at DBU. But at the same time, it was more so a means to take care of me while I am chasing after voiceover. So that was interesting. And I thought I could be able to do both at the same time. But I realized very quickly once I got to my senior year and I actually started like teaching kids,
Yeah.
we do this kind of like practicum internship thing where you're teaching kids how to sing. I realized in that spot, in my 2017, as I was kind of booking in voiceover, it would conflict with me teaching kids. So I'd be teaching do, re, mi, fa, so, and then I get a call from my agent while I'm teaching, and these supervising teachers are watching me. They're grading me on how I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'd have to step out, get the call, and they're like, "Hey, Fox needs you in 5 minutes," or "Spike TV needs you like yesterday. That's how fast they need you. And so I had to hop in my car, drive back to DBU, my college, record in my closet, and then come back to the school to do the lesson. After about 6 weeks of that, maybe more, you start to realize, oh my God, is this what life is going to be like? And I had to kind of make a decision. I talked to my parents and be like, yo, I'm about to get my degree. I don't want to drop out. Um, Currently, though, the what I make, the money I'm making in voiceover right now is more than I would even make as a teacher. So I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
My parents, who are African, were very I was surprised by their response. They were like, "You know what? You've been doing music this entire time. I know you wanted to go and teach music and do this thing, but get your degree and then chase after it. And if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out, you still
Yeah.
have a degree to fall back on."
Yeah.
And so I jumped into a voiceover after I graduated in 2017, and I hadn't looked back since. I've been doing it full time since then. So I left some stuff out just to not make it super long, but that's kind of like the gist.
That no, I'm so like with when you told your parents, I think I want to go off two parts, but did you tell
Sure.
your parents before? Like, did they already know that you were interested in voiceover?
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead. No, no.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. So as I was kind of studying voiceover and learning what that world was about, my parents are pastors, and they had at the church that we were at, they had this amp, this bass amp, and a microphone. And what I did was I took that bass amp, put it in my dad's car, and took a microphone with an XLR cable. And I would go home. They didn't know this, right? And then as they were sleeping, I'd take it in my room, sit it down, plug everything up, and I'd start sitting in there, like, I turn it real low, and I just start speaking into the mic and reading scripts, making up scripts and doing that every night. My parents never knew that I was doing this. They knew that I had
Wow.
voiceover and doing stuff with, like, with my voice and stuff like that because I told them what they didn't know what voiceover was,
Yeah.
and no one really does, but I that's the way I started studying, and I remember that I would record YouTube videos and just put it up for myself and just, like, speak into the microphone, "Tonight, it's an all new da 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 da," like, just copying what I was hearing, what I was seeing, and that's kind of how I was kind of growing there, but my parents later on found out that I had took the amp at home because they were like, "Isn't that the amp from church?" And they're looking for it now. I'm like, "Yeah, oops." And so anyway, they let me keep it there because they realized that I was either playing music,
Yeah.
or singing in it or doing voiceover, so they allowed it. But they didn't know that I was serious about taking that as a career. They didn't know that it would be a career thing. They just
Yeah.
think you're doing funny voices, right? So and when I brought it up to them, they were like, so how is this gonna work exactly? And it wasn't really until I showed them that first paycheck of like, no, listen, I'm getting paid for this. And they were like, huh, okay,
Yeah.
let's try it out.
No, I feel that 'cause, like I know like when I was in college, I was making beats in order to like pay for school, but
Sure,
also like to eat. And
sure.
like I remember I went to school like 2 hours away, driving back with my dad. And I was like, yeah, I'm making beats for, to save up for school. And like he was like, what is that? It's a gospel beats? I was like, no. I was like, oh, you trying to be like Kanye and trying to be like I was like, just like wait, it'll work out. Just
Exactly.
but yeah, but yeah, the my parents were definitely very skeptical. Now they're more relaxed. But in terms of going back to college and
Yeah.
you juggling, like how was that in terms of like after the juggling like happens, how was that when you go back to your dorm and like processing it all? Like was this like an everyday type of thing where you would go to your your practicum and you would kind of be anxious for a call that you had to go and leave? Or
Yeah. So the I think there was the good thing about it was that at the beginning when I really started pushing things with voiceover in college, it was 2015 and I was a sophomore. Or I was a sophomore, junior-ish. And what I would do, it wouldn't necessarily at that point, it wasn't really getting in the way because I was doing more so like impression videos on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just putting out videos on Vine as well, and just trying to get my name out there. And Vine at the time was the OG in terms of content creation and
Yeah.
stuff. Now they got TikTok, so that's a whole breed. But that's what I was kind of cutting, ideas, and I feel like it's interesting. I feel like that time was the most creative I was, like, as a musician. It's interesting. Like, before you do the thing that you're doing, like, I guess out of necessity and out of just I'm hungry, I'm trying to get out there, you start, like, your brain just starts coming up with ideas and cool things, and you just, and then you get into the thing and you start doing it so much,
Yeah.
it kind of dilutes it a little bit. So I consider that the most, like, creative point in my life, honestly. And so that I was doing videos on there, and so it wasn't really interfering with school, because I do videos, I do impression videos, I edit it in the evening, and then I'm back in class. Like, it's no big deal. It wasn't getting in the way. It
Yeah.
wasn't until about 2016 that I signed up to do this kind of pay to play site where they, in voiceover, they give you all these auditions. You pay one fee, like I think it's like $300 for a year subscription, and they give you all these auditions of all these companies looking for a voice, mom and pop shops. I mean, all types of things, right? Now, and the money's not consistent. It's not like you don't set prices. It's all over. Sometimes it's $200 here, sometimes it's 150. Sometimes it's 800, sometimes it's 900. But
Yeah.
as a brother in college, that is I'm living large, man. So I did about a month and a half worth of audition and didn't book anything. And it wasn't until I started doing the thing early in the morning. I would get up and I'd go on YouTube and just watch commercials, and then for like about 30 minutes after I got done watching commercials, I'd hop in on the site and start auditioning with what I was kind of like hearing and grasping from the commercials I saw.
Wow.
And so I would start auditioning, and then I started booking. And then people started, like, every week I started booking at least one job. $500 here, $800 here, $200 here. And I was like, yo. So I quit my job that I had on campus, and I was just devoting my time into that. Now, the part with that was I wasn't signed to an agency or anything. So that was my way of making money, getting auditions. The issue with that was I would have to do it early in the morning, get to class, to my 8 o'clock class, be in classes all day. Music education, it's kind of like a dual degree. It's music classes and it's education classes at the same time. If you know anything about that, that's a lot of hours. And so I'm in there the entire day, and then a booking will come in during the day, and they're like, you could get back to us by the afternoon. And so I'd have to, at like maybe 7 o'clock, I'd run back to my dorm, record the sessions, and send it off. And then I head to class because I have an evening class. So that was the kind of the wheel I just kept doing over and over again. And then there'd be some times where the client would say, hey, can we hop on a call at 11 a.m.? I'm like, at 11 a.m., I'm in class. How does that work?
Yeah.
So I'm missing class. So because it's, for me, it's like, I saw it as like, this is going to be something that I'm going to do one day. And I don't, I want to build a clientele. I want to make some money, and some good money at that,
Yeah.
for the age I'm at. And so I said, I'm gonna skip class, and I'd skip class. Now, after about the sixth time, no, I'd say about the fourth time doing that, my teacher started to actually be like, "Yo, what's going on? What's happening?" A professor, and I'd say, "Hey, I'm trying to build this voiceover career." Well, voiceover, what's that? And then I explained to them, and they're like, "Oh, wait, you mean like the voices you hear in the commercials? That's you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of do that." And then they were like, "Well, yeah, we'll figure out a way to," and then they started to try to help me, which was amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they started trying to help me, and there was a time where I booked my first anime role, and our choir director at the university, our choral director, we have this event that it's kind of like the Super Bowl of choirs that we all had to be at. It's like, if you don't go to this thing, your grades are done. Now, that was the same day that Funimation booked me on my very first anime role. And I'm like, oh, sir, like, I was like, is there any way? I literally came into his office. I was like, I got on my knees. I was like, bro, listen, is there any way I could do a little bit of your concert, go to Funimation, record, and I swear I will speed back. It's about 30 minutes apart. I will make it happen. And he's like, what do you talk? What is this anime? And I was like, animation. It's like cartoons. Like this is the. And he was like, okay, I'm only gonna do this for you. Go to Funimation, do this session. Don't race back. Take your time. Come back because I do need you in the bass section. Just do what you got to do, man. When I tell you, man. But you have to realize, like, people, he fails people for the missing that joint, like, period, and he will not budge for whatever reason. And I'm pretty consistent. I come to class all the time. I do my thing, so that's probably the stock that I put in that. But
Yeah.
so anyway, all that to say, there were some professors who really had my back on it and allowed me to do that. And there were also in my practicum courses some supervising teachers who also understood what I was doing and allowed me to go back and record if I needed to. But that's how I balanced it, man. And I had to get up really early to do my auditions and stay up very late to do more auditions or to do the sessions. So it was that kind of thing. And then I got signed in March of 2017.
Yeah.
This was my last semester of college, and it was kind of where things took off.
Dang, and all I think like the doing the creative or doing something outside of like your degree in college, like that's a grind of its own because like you got class, you paying tuition, so you gotta maintain those responsibilities.
That's
And you're
right.
trying to build something outside. So like, yeah, there were plenty of times I skip college, skip class or to do a base video or the films, like
Yeah, and
stay up late.
it stable exactly because it's like the question is like the school thing, yeah, it's important, absolutely, but this other thing could really take off and be something massive where
Yeah.
it could even you don't even have to do with the school thing anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of have to outweigh them. It's like it's not like I'm missing every day,
Yeah.
but I gotta make that's the sacrifice right there. Especially on something that you haven't. I mean, we've been doing school our whole life. This music thing and voiceover, this creative side, we don't really give much time to. So then when the opportunity arises, you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna take this. I can come back to school anytime I want to.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So like if you could go back in college now, would
Hmm.
you change the route that you went on? Like, would you change your degree, or would you, keep everything kind of the same as if you had it?
Yeah, dude, I would keep everything the same. I would keep everything the same. The only thing I would do probably no, man. Honestly, the way everything was laid out and mapped out, in regards to music education, that helps me. I'm not teaching kids anymore, but I still do stuff like voice lessons sometimes. I also, obviously, I'm in a band. I'm an acapella group.
Yeah.
All of the tools that I learned in music ed and choral arranging and everything from how to use your voice, what repertoires to pick, what songs to pick for all of that stuff that I learned. Music theory, shoot, man, oral skills, all of those things. Man, I'm so glad I have that. And you don't need that to be a successful whatever. Oh, sorry, Siri's acting crazy. You don't need to have all that to be successful in the music field, but it's helped me tremendously in being a director in my own thing. And I love the choral music, like kind of field. So one day if something does happen where I don't want to do voiceover, I can still go to that and allow that to be a thing. So yeah, I wouldn't change that, and because it also wasn't too invasive, where like it was conflicting too much,
Yeah.
so much. It was just enough. I was missing things here and there. Some things were affected, but it wasn't anything to throw me off because I still got out with a degree, and so so it worked out okay. And I would definitely, there may be some things that I could think about now, maybe a couple of things I could have changed or did something, but I feel like you change one thing, it kind of changes a whole lot of other things that you don't know about later
Yep.
on. So I want to keep it as is because um I could imagine if I didn't have a scholarship to go to DBU and I was just like went from college to like I guess I went to a 2-year school, whatever, or and then I, whatever, or I didn't go to 2-year school. I just kind of chased voiceover outside of DBU. First of all, now I'd have to find a job. And that to make it, man, to me, I would have to be working all day and then figure out a time to record.
Yeah.
And that then I'm in a whole nother, and then that day is pushing in terms of me starting voiceover. That pushes further and further along because I just don't have the bandwidth and the time to do that.
Yeah.
Versus school kind of gave me almost an umbrella of some sort because I was on scholarship. A lot of the things were paid for. My housing was paid for, like a lot of the stuff, and I could just focus on music. And I had a job on campus, but it wasn't making a difference,
Yeah.
a big difference. Um, so everything worked out, man. It was a blessing. I really God orchestrated that, and the way that went down. Mistakes, yeah, but I'm where I'm at today. Those are valuable mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that was because I was an RA in college, so like that was a blessing in itself. It's
Mhm.
like and going and creating your own schedule in terms of like
Right.
classes because already knew in my mind like okay, I do base videos from this time to this time, or I'm recording from this time to this time. I can sneak it in, go to my dorm real quick,
Right on.
knock it out, and come back.
Exactly.
Yeah, so in terms of the developing your voice in terms of voiceover, I'm interested in like you said that you were listening to YouTube videos and like studying how to do that. Like, is
Yeah.
there a certain type of voice? I don't even know how to structure this, but it's a certain type of voice that attracts like Spike TV or Marvel, or like
Mm.
how did you develop that or know this voice is like attractive, attractable? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, yeah, from sophomore year, watching just kind of like all voiceover videos that I could, I was trying to figure out what area of voiceover do I see myself in, and specifically the ones that I work in now, TV promos, which promos is what you see coming up next on Fox. It's an all new Loud House on Nickelodeon. That kind of stuff. That's what you call promos. They tell you what's coming up next, what's coming up next week or whatever.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do that. I also wanted to do movie trailers, which I talked about. I wanted to do video games, animation. So I started looking at voice actors who worked specifically, like the people at the top of their game in that area. And I would copy literally everything they were doing. And in terms of just not just like trying to become a carbon copy, but taking what they did. It was like with music, right? You hear a lick, you hear chords, you transcribe what they are, and
Yeah.
then you figure out little by little when you play them a lot, you find out that you start adding them into your own arrangements, into your own songs and stuff like that. And so that's what I was doing with voiceover, which being a musician has given me that advantage with listening to voices.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I was kind of picking up some of the inflections, and a lot of times in promos and trailers, they are looking for the voice of God, an announcer, and someone who does sound nice to the ears and has a nice sounding voice, whatever that may mean to the person. And so, yeah, it helps to have an okay sounding voice and to have the inflections down. And then in the area of video games and animation, I listen to them. I'm like, so what are they doing? Who's the top of the game in this field? And I would copy that. And I actually, the great thing is during high school and during college, I was in musical theater, I was in opera, I was in acting stuff. So I had the acting chops there, and it was just a matter of adding the voice to the acting because that's where the mistake is. It's like I get a lot of people coming to me, man, a flood of people messaging me saying, people tell me I have a great voice. They tell me I can do this, do that. I'm like, listen, I can have the best. I have this keyboard right here, bro. It's a native complete
Yeah.
con. I got the entire thing. I got the Spectrum keys, everything. If I don't know how to play it, it doesn't matter. Same thing for you.
Yeah.
Like you could hand me your bass right now, bro, and it would just look like a nice bass. I wouldn't know what to do with it from a playing standpoint.
Yeah.
I know the letters and stuff like that, but in terms of making things sing, I don't know how to do it. And if you put me in front of a Corey Henry or you put me in front of these greats, they'd be like, yeah, no. So in the same way with voiceover, and if you don't know how to act, you're exposed very quickly. And so anyway, I kind of that's where I went to. I went to the greats of people in the industry thus far and try to copy what they did while trying to incorporate what I did. And a lot of where I discovered myself was during the auditioning process. So my agents would send me an audition for, I don't know, I'd say Spike TV. Before Spike TV is now Paramount Network, but they used to be Spike TV, and it'll be something for Bellator. It's an MMA thing, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, um, it's got to be gritty. It's got to be in your face. So I'm thinking like someone like I don't know, Don Lafontaine, who is arguably one of the leading movie trailer voice actors of our time. He passed away in 2008. He's the GOAT. And I was like, okay, I need that type of sound. So now I'm trying to apply that sound with what I have on the script to see if it connects, to see if it, whatever. And I send the audition, and if I book it, that means what I did worked, and I just build on top of that. And I did book it. I ended up booking it, and I ended up beating somebody out for the campaign who was also someone very considerable who'd been doing it for years. And so that was mind blowing because that was my first kind of big gig.
Yeah.
But that's what's helped me. And in terms of what companies are attracted to, they do want somebody who understands copy, who can interpret copy, who understands when to break, when not to break. Timing is so important in this thing, man. Like when I do promos, I have my headphones on, and Fox will send me if it's for, I don't know, it's a show they're working on. All I hear is 3 beeps, and then I hear the sound going, and I read to picture. So it's beep, beep, beep. Tonight on Fox, boom. It's an all new, boom. And I'm and you only get 1 to 2 chances to do it in network promo. And if you don't get it right, they're like, we got to get somebody else.
Wow.
That's how fast like this industry goes, especially in that regard.
Yeah.
It's cutthroat. They call it the Olympics of voiceover because you have to be perfect. A lot of these producers, a lot of these networks don't have time for you to be like, can I do that part again? I just missed the. Nah, fam. Like it's you get in and you get out. And so anyway, a lot of the learning has been helpful in that regard. So I hope that answers.
No, dude, that was amazing. What the heck? But like you kind of answered my next question in terms of how music has, or the techniques that you've learned in music just from being a musician or
Yeah.
vocalist has affected your craft in voiceover. But like the timing, like I didn't even know that timing went into it. So
Yeah.
with that, like, are you just seeing the pictures? Or are you hearing music with it? Or is that app added afterwards, or how does that work?
Yeah, specifically for promo specifically. Everything else for the most part you can read it wild with, and wild means without music or anything. You can just kind of do it on your own in your pacing.
Yeah.
And then have the time markers next to it. Hey, this is 4.5 seconds, this is 3.6 seconds. Um, but in network promo with the Fox, ABC, CW, those big kind of networks, everything is read to the sound you're hearing. Sometimes they'll show you picture, but a lot of times it's just sound on, it's what you call SOT, sound on tape. And so you get, like you said, like I said, you get the 3 beeps in your ears, and then you're reading to the sound, and you're trying to match everything to every, explosion you read here.
Yeah.
Somebody says, my dog is on, my dog is dying, and then you read the next line, her dog is dying, and then like you have to be in it, and it's everything is laid out on the script, so you see how everything is flowing.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting in that way. It can be very challenging, but where you have to have like real timing is the fact that, like I said, they'll have the times next to it. So they say, hey, we need this read in 3.5 seconds. Do you know what 3.5 seconds feels like? Sound like what that, and you have to in this. I know it's instinctively what those milliseconds feel like,
Yeah.
just based on talking how many words I can get in 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, all of those things. And you have to feel that and know that, because there's no one feeding it to you when you're in the session.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's that thing. A lot of times they'll send you a script and they'll say, here are 5 lines, get this one in 5, get this first line at 5.4, get this one in 2.5. I don't know where they come up with these numbers, whatever. They probably divided, I don't know. But you have to get it in that way, and kill it. And so music definitely helps me with that, and understanding BPM, understanding tone of, because a lot of times they'll add the music bed underneath it. So as a musician, if I hear something that's in the kind of a minor key, a lot darker, I already know where my voice needs to go. My voice can't go tonight on Disney Plus. I can't do that if it's a dark thing. It's got to be tonight on Disney Plus. It's got to be more a low, more gritty, more tamed because of what's happening underneath it.
Yeah.
So all of those things are running in my mind and running in minds of should be running in minds of voice actors if they're in that medium.
Dude, that is amazing. Just to have like, you know, I think of it as like a musician in either church or like when I play jazz, like you have to have that I would say I call it discernment. You have to have this discernment to feel the music and know where it's going. It's like
Exactly.
going with tonality, when to put a lick here and when to
Exactly.
just stay in the pocket. Um,
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
is amazing. So in terms of like the let me think, which way do I want to go? Okay, and practicing. Do you still practice like voiceover? Like have
Mhm.
you practiced differently now that you're more, I would say like developed? Um, how do you
Yeah,
do that?
I think I definitely practice differently. Back, when I first started, I would just sit out and kind of open my DAW and Logic or GarageBand or whatever I had at the time, and just record myself doing like fake spots, like just fake commercial spots, fake TV spots, fake characters, or characters that haven't been made up yet. And that's how I would practice. I would also get into voice coaching stuff, which I still do now. Getting
Yeah.
to coaching when I have a script that comes in for a character, video games or animation, I've got a couple of people in my mind that I can reach out and say, "Hey, can I hop on a coaching call with you and walk me through this? I want to make sure I'm in the pocket when I submit this to DreamWorks. I want to submit this to Nickelodeon, whatever." And so, yeah, I still practice, and now I'm a little bit more intentional about what I am practicing, and I'm more like I'm not just kind of like practicing everything. I'm just like, okay, so what am I working on right now? Let me hone in on that, and grow from there. But also, a lot of doing the job is also practice as well, especially in voiceover. I'm working on a show now, an animated series now that I can't talk about what the name is or who's in the show, but there are some celebrities, there are celebrity voice actors, like amazing voice actors in the show. And I'm like, what I imposter syndrome is kicking in majorly because I'm like, what am I doing here? These guys are coming up with stuff off the head. They're making in musical terms, the notes just come out of them as if it's just like they wrote it,
Yeah.
and with scripts and stuff, a lot of times things can get stagnant. People can read word for word like, "Mom, I'm going to the store," versus "Mom, I'm going to the store. Bye," and just adding life to that, and
Yeah.
it's just improv and doing things. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm realizing this is where I'm soaking up the material and taking that back to my auditions. And I booked a lot from that. Like being in my sessions, working with other actors, I'm like, I'm gonna steal that. And then when I go back and I record for my audition, I take whatever I learned in that actual session that paid me and apply it to something
Mm,
good. And I tend to book that way. And I think as a musician, one of the things about us is like once we hear things a couple times and we understand a pattern and a
hmm.
trend, we take it and run with it. And you don't have to really bog us down to talk about this is this, this is this, this is this. It's like, I got it. Don't even worry about it. I got it. And then you take it and run with it and you develop your own thing.
Yeah. So that was my, next thing. I'm glad you mentioned imposter syndrome. It's like I feel like that's something in a creative industry that's like talked about a lot, but not know how to deal with it kind of thing. So when you're in these sessions, like, does it ever feel like, um, dang, like I feel like I'm not supposed to be here, but I am here because I'm good? Like, do you still feel like that? And then if so, like how do you kind of deal with it?
Yeah, no, it still creeps in, man. It still creeps in. That's something, and I think the, I say the higher, but the more gigs of things that you idolize and things that you're just like, that would be amazing. It's funny how even though it would be amazing to you, once you get there, you're like, I don't think I belong here. Like, what the heck? Like, it was great in theory. It was a pie in the sky, and it sounded like it visually, it made sense that I would be there, and that's where I was saw myself. But the moment I get in that position, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not. Maybe. And so for me, I have to always think to myself, like, they chose me to be here. They picked me. And when they hear my audition, when I send in my audition or whatever, they're praying that it's me. They're praying that I'm the guy that will solve their problem on who will voice this character. They want me to win. They don't want me to get in there, and when I do my session, I fail. No, they want me to knock it out the park. So since we're all on the same team, because I want to do great too,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see what I can do. Now, the part kicks in even more when you see other great people doing that stuff on a level. Then you start to be like, maybe I should hold back and just kind of like be timid and just watch my step. But I have to, a lot of times I have to turn off that part of my mind and just be present in the moment. And that's where, and it's hard to, it's easier said than done. But it's something I'm still learning on doing, is being present and understanding where I am, what character am I playing, what role am I playing, and I have to fake the funk and act like, hey, I belong here just as much as you guys do. And after a while, you'll find yourself like, oh, wait, no, yeah, I do belong here. That fake the funk starts to become real, because it is real. Ultimately, they hired you for the job.
Yeah.
Whatever gig you're doing, I mean, for the most part, they brought you, and someone thought you were good enough to hop in there. So you really have to combat the, am I good enough? If you weren't good enough, you'd be at home.
That's very true. That is 100%. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that's right now, that's something like I'm learning how to overcome. Because before, like in college, I get or probably even a couple of years ago, I just put it in the back of my mind and like not think about it because I wasn't there. But now it's like when your dreams become reality, you gotta live in reality
Reality.
and like gotta be like, okay, I prepared all this time to get here, and now I'm here, so I show what I've been practicing all this time.
Exactly.
So, no, I 100% agree with that. It's definitely like a process in terms of
Oh yeah.
trusting your creative instinct and
Mhm.
like as what you said, like knowing that you're supposed to be here, and even just I feel like I look up to the greats, the people that I look up to, but knowing once you start getting good enough, you're starting to get closer and closer to that level
Yeah.
where I would say they have the confidence to be like, yeah, I know I'm here because
And,
I'm the big dog.
and that's I think, I feel like our best creative, and whether that be music, or that be like voiceover acting or whatever, is like when the pressure is low. Like there's you just kind of like, you're doing your thing, you're doing these things that are actually very, very like risky,
Yeah.
that if you did in public you probably wouldn't make those choices. And I feel like the difference is with the people who are doing it now. I'm sure they still have those kind of feelings, but I think for them, it's like they're in that space of like, this is just me and my musician and my piano, or my art, and I'm just going off of it. And they're
Yeah.
able to connect that. And that's where that magic, that's when you become a superhero, because you don't really care about what's around you, who's doing their thing. You're just in your bag.
Yeah.
And that is still a process for me, because I found myself like, boy, when I was auditioning for this, I was doing some stuff because I was so like, I was here listening to me. I can do things and not find myself silly, whatever. And then they hear and they're like, that was brilliant. Like, what? And then when I get in the studio to actually do it, they're like, hey, what happened to that thing that you did on your audition? I'm like, let me try to, and then it sounds forced. And then it's, because you're not in that zone, you're not in that space
Yeah.
of being relaxed and understanding, hey, what you're doing here is you're playing in this sandbox with other colleagues. Everybody is feeling the same thing,
Yeah.
but they're just ignoring it and being in the moment. So that's where that is at.
No, that dude, I love that. Like I like that take. I'm glad we brought that up and was able to discuss that. So now in terms of I'm big on content. I know I've seen your content. How did you get introduced to like I don't know, did you just I guess when you said you were doing Vine and I saw you on Instagram, were you just
Oh
thinking
yeah.
like this is a way for me to get myself out there? Or was it like, this could potentially help me blow up in some way, shape, or form? Like what was
Yeah.
that mindset?
Yeah, no, I think the answer is yes on everything. I was trying to, I think for me, because I wasn't signed yet, so I figured that would be a way to get noticed. I didn't know really how the business worked. I figured I could put some videos, go viral, and then potentially get an agent from that, or I could, people, companies will probably reach out to me from me doing videos on stuff. I didn't really know how it worked, but I knew that we were kind of moving as a society, especially in the industry. I think I don't know how the music industry is, but I know in the acting industry, the followers you have and the people you have supporting you does play a part now in the titles that you're a part of,
Okay.
alongside your auditions and you being an amazing actor. They also search you up and they look up what interaction, what engagement do you have on social media? What kind of presence do you have?
Mm.
And no, it's not the deciding factor, but if you are tied to someone else who is equally as good as you, and they go and search both of you guys up and they see that you have a presence online, which means that when they release their project, you're going to boost that versus someone who doesn't have an online presence or anything. They're just great.
Yeah.
They're going to go with the person who has an online presence because it gives them a little bit of a bang for their buck.
Yeah.
So I thought that that was important to build that. That's why I started doing the impression videos and stuff on Vine. But I realized very quickly, and I'm so glad I did. Hindsight's 2020. But my a voiceover friend of mine called me up and said, who does it professionally. He said, "Hey, listen." We talked on the phone about an hour and a half. He said, "Listen, what you're doing online is amazing. Like you're doing these impression videos, and you've got Gladys Knight sharing your videos, Tyrese Gibson shared my video, like so many other celebrities were sharing it." He's like, "This is awesome." He's like, "But at a certain point, you're you're gonna have to convert this into real stuff. The voices you're doing, like Mickey Mouse, Homer Simpson, all these impression videos,
Yeah.
people that are actually doing these voices are still alive, and they get paid so well doing it." Not trying to knock off your impressions, but the thing about it is the likelihood of you getting hired by a company to do that right now while they've got is little, it's very, 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 very slim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, figure out a way to convert this into a way where you can do this for real, where you can create your own voices, you can create your own content and put it out there and grow that. And so that was like a water splash on me because to this point, I was learning these voices and I was going up on Instagram and doing, oh boy, hi, Mickey Mouse, and doing all that stuff every day. I was just kind of different voices. And for me, it was like, oh, wait, I need to figure out a way to do this for real. Because he's right. There are people who do these voices and they still exist and they're making a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
I need to do something original.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to do this is create a voiceover demo, send it to an agent, see if I can get signed, maybe get on an animated series and create my own voice. That's that, and then get paid for it. That's, get
Yeah.
compensated for the work that you do. And so by that time, I had already grown a nice small community of people who follow my work and stuff. And so I was able to shift that into voiceover and putting out some promo stuff, commercial stuff, things that aren't, too flashy in terms of they're not like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
But doing that saved me a ton because I wasn't known as the impressions guy, or I wasn't known as boxed into, oh, you're the dude who does funny voices of characters that already exist.
Yeah.
I was able to jump off that and do this and build this career. And now I have original voices that I work on Call of Duty, Valorant, the list goes on in terms of the stuff, anime, all these characters that I've created that I've created on my own. And I know other counterparts who are still in that doing impression videos, doing impressions, and they're trying to knock out of that. One of my friends, they're I won't say with name, but he's an incredible impressionist and does amazing impressions. He went to a studio session for Disney. They called him in and they said, "Here's a character. We saw what you did. We would love to audition you." He auditioned for this new character. Never they just drew him fresh off the press. Okay, here's a character, and he did a voice for the character, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds like Winnie the Pooh," one of the characters that he'd been doing on social media.
Yeah.
Or try another one. Try something different. Oh, man, now that sounds like Goofy. It's like another character he had been doing a lot of, and so he's trying to figure out these voices, but everything he's doing sounds like characters that he's done impressions of so much, and
Yeah.
because he's got that ingrained in his head, he doesn't know how to do something different.
Yeah.
Now you're given an opportunity, but because you've been in that box so long, you can't break out of it. So I had to come out of that pretty quickly, and I'm so glad I did. Um, yeah, that's kind of what's helped what I'm doing now is being able to just do original content, and original voices and original stuff.
I think, that's like, especially now, there's so much this content, millions of pieces of content going out every day.
Right.
That original, it's easy to just replicate something that you already know is going to go viral.
Yep.
Like that's easy to do. So, but like I think having that self-awareness or even taking the constructive criticism to be like, you should pivot and realize, okay, in order to not be like everybody else, in order to create the opportunities that I actually want, I need to be different. And what so then we go down the path of what does different look like? Like how do I make it look like me or how to make it sound like me? Um, and especially doing that like long term to build up that cadence, that repertoire to where it looks like it's grown over time.
Right.
No, like because I know when I started doing my bass videos were just covers. Like I was just snagging
Yeah.
something on YouTube, like when if you were singing or I was just like playing over it, and that
Yeah.
was it. And then I started seeing IG story, like the cinematic stories. It's like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can connect the two somehow. I don't know how,
Yeah.
but I can connect the two and like keep on doing that, learn how to use a camera, and now we're here.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I'm like I admire your content is multidimensional. Like because you'll have voiceover content, you'll have singing videos, then you'll do a vlog, you'll do like showing your life. So what was this all planned? Was this like, I might want to try, like I'm seeing other people do this. Let me like try this for myself. How was that process?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it it wasn't necessarily strategically planned. It's honestly genuinely things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
With the vlogs and the IGTV, man, I saw what got me into that was I saw a IGTV from it was a young man, he's from the Philippines.
Gab. Gab
Gab.
politely. Yes. Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God. He changed my life. I wish I could talk. One day I'm gonna reach out to him. I don't know what he's doing these days, but like he literally flipped my world upside down with the IGTV stuff. And I don't even know, like again, it's IGTV. It's not like it's like it's a moneymaker thing. But the way my creative outlet, I was like, oh, bro, I want to do that. I want
Yes.
to do that. And so it fell into Jesse Driftwood,
Yep.
who I was watching too, and I was like, bro, what did they're amazing. And the great thing about Gab was like he was doing like things every day, and it was
Yeah.
amazing to see that. And then Jesse would just do these crazy transitions and all the, you know, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And so I started doing it on I bought a Canon M, it was at the M50. Was it? EOS, I think it was M50 maybe. And I just started doing the same thing and just recording my life and just the day to day what I'm doing. And it was it was such innocent fun times. And it's funny, I was starting making some money so I could buy some gears, buy some camera stuff, and just kind of invest in that.
Yep.
So fun. And then it transitioned to um IGTV stuff. And then from IGTV, then I kind of moved everything onto YouTube, and made that a thing. And so yeah, it's always been something that I've enjoyed. And then I saw your content as well. And so it's kind of being a part of this community of people who make stories or make cinematic vlogs, even the short form. And yeah, that's kind of like my love for that is in camera gear. That's where it all literally, Gab Politely, I owe him a lot because it all stemmed from that world.
Same. Yeah.
And yeah, I've been doing that ever since. And then with the stuff, the content that I'm putting on for Twitch and TikTok and stuff like that, that came from me just being a part of video games and getting online and playing with my community and people that hear me in these games and they want to see me playing the game and stuff. And so
Yeah.
I get on and people, about 100 people watch me, at a time. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm not anybody, but it's so cool to see that community built, and then I'll put it on YouTube and that will become its own thing. And so then the voiceover, and so all the things are just stuff that I actually enjoy doing. I get fulfillment from doing it. And I think anything that you get fulfillment and enjoy doing, I think it's worth doing for sure.
No, 100%. It's so cool that we both like were looking at Gab politely when he was doing all that. Cause like
Oh yeah.
I did not know how to use Final Cut, but when I
Nope.
saw his stuff, I was like, I gotta learn how to do that.
And LeBron, he would post videos on his YouTube on how he did it.
Yeah.
I'd sit there and just dissect everything
Bro, I watched that video so many times.
so many
Like
times.
I was taking notes. I was like,
Me
that's
too.
how then Jesse Driftwood like learned how to do transitions. This is before like he even started breaking down how he's doing trends. I was
Right.
downloading the videos, slowing them down. Like,
Yep.
dude,
Yeah. Same,
wow.
same trajectory, man. Same, very same thing. It was cool because, and the thing that was dope about it too was a lot of people weren't doing it. I mean, it was a very small amount of people that were doing it.
Yes.
So when I picked up on it, a lot of people were hitting me up with like, "Yo, what camera is this? Or what phone is this with your phone?" Or was like,
Yep.
and so you're explaining to people this is how I'm doing. I'm just recording a vlog vertically and stuff. And now vertical is a thing. But
Yep.
yeah, man, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. 2017, 20, I think it was 2018. 2018
Yep.
is when I'm doing that.
Dude, 2018 was like a golden year for
Right?
content, like for real.
Legit, legit.
Wow. So in terms of, the other plans for 2022, what's the next steps? Do you have any bigger projects or bigger dreams that you
Yeah.
have? What's happening next?
Yeah, definitely. There are definitely bigger projects coming for 2022. Things that are under NDA. So I hate it. Every time somebody asks me what's projects, I'm like, dang, I want to say it because if I say it, I know it would rupture the earth,
Yep.
and I'm probably in a lawsuit. So that's I gotta keep quiet. But great things are happening on the voiceover front. Music side too. I'm working on an album with my acapella group, a full-fledged album, and we're really excited about it. And that'll come out mid summer. And then everything else, it's just um under wraps right now, and I'm not really a type to talk about things until they happen, but there are
Yep.
some great things happening. I've got an animated series that I am co-creating with Brandon Crumley, who's also a fantastic musician. You should check him out if you get the chance to. But
Yeah.
we've got this show called Star Child, and it's in the pitching phase with Netflix.
Oh
Um,
wait, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's in the pitching phase, and we're also working on a comic for it that should be out top of year next year. And so those are kind of the bigger things. Everything else is kind of under wraps. But yeah, that's kind of my life right now, and just performing and doing VO and just that's it's a fun time for sure.
Dude, dude, that is amazing. You're someone like I'm cheating like crazy hard, but no, I appreciate you for coming on this episode.
Absolutely,
Definitely been great. You dropped a whole lot of gems. It's someone I respect like a whole lot.
man.
But yeah, no,
Likewise,
definitely
brother.
thank you, man.
It's an honor, really. We've been buddies for a while, and I'll be hitting you up about gear and stuff like that, and it's so amazing to see. I mean, I to see your growth as well, and just kind of what you've created for yourself, and just the things you're getting into. It went from 2018 creating that kind of content, and to now you are where you are at doing it, and it's amazing. I have always. It's funny a lot of times with video stuff, like think I have an idea and I'll think so, and I've yet to pull the trigger yet because I want it to be right, and I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, I need to bring Abram on this. I need to bring Abram on this, and I again like I I don't like wasting people's time, so when something happens, I want to bring you in and figure out a way we could collaborate on that front. But man, yeah, I'm proud of you, and I'm it's an honor to be on. Really, thank you for having me.
Dude, no, let me know. Like I'm I'm down anytime. Let me
Sure.
know. But yeah, thank you. All right.